to Standard Super League. I'm Randy Bueller, now joined by Gerard Fabiano. Nice job with that win.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, it was a nice feed the clan at the end. I really needed it, you know.
The life was very important, huh?
Yeah. As you can tell, feed the clan is one of my favorite cards. It probably goes something like Ashiok, feed the clan, and then Ashiok again. So I had to make sure I play all of them. So
Is that card actually good in the matchup against Cuneo, or it's just like you had to bring it in because it's your signature card?
well, I had to bring it in, but I actually think it's pretty good because it seemed as though he was like trying to burn me out with like the crackling dooms. And actually, in game one, I wasn't even attacking with Seder Wayfinders because I was worried that he had the make two 1/1 guys.
Yeah,
So I was like, I'm just gonna win with Ashiok, and I decided not to even attack with it. So
fair
it
enough.
was
Now,
it was whatever.
talk to us about your deck choice, because your Sultai kind of got some spicy cards in there, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cunio's deck just won the Grand Prix, and I was thinking, all right, well, there's a good chance Cunio, like, I know for sure Cunio's not going to play an aggro deck, so I'm like, Sultai Charm's got to be good against Cunio, and Sultai Charm's good if, like, Tom Ross decided to play Blue-Red Adopters, and that's a deck he could play, and I think Sultai Charm's pretty good against Band Heroic, too, which I thought he might play, and it's just a good card in general, so I think Sultai Control could make a comeback right now because it was good at the early stages of the year. Like in February and March, I crushed a bunch of tournaments with it, and then Jack Fogle won the Grand Prix with it as well. And then it kind of died off, but I think now maybe it's time for Sultai Control again. And I really wanted to try out Erebos Titan for the Pro Tour. That was the card I wanted to play so bad. I'm like, I gotta play Erebos Titan, you know. And I practiced with it, but I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So maybe for the Invitational coming up, I'm going to play this Altai deck.
Oh, how far away is the Invitational?
The Invitational's in 2 weeks, so it's going to go Detroit this weekend. I'm going to. Then I'm going to go to Philly for the World Magic Cup / Vintage Championships, and then the
Nice.
following week is the Invitational. So it's pretty soon.
Now, are you playing the World Magic Cup, or are you playing Eternal Weekend stuff?
Okay, so on Saturday I'm going to play the World Magic Cup, and on Sunday I'm going to play the Vintage Champs. So no Legacy Champs for me because
Seems like a good answer.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
teaming with
pretty
Mike
sweet.
Sigrist seems good. So,
Say
or
that
at least
again.
trying trying to team with Mike Sigrist seems pretty good for the World
Nice.
Magic Cup. You know, so I think America's going to have a good shot this year, regardless of who else is on the team.
Yeah, and that WMCQ is same weekend, same site as Eternal Weekend. So, like you just said, you can choose whether you want to play the Legacy Champs or the WMCQ on Saturday, and then you can play Vintage Champs on Sunday. I'll be there as well. I'll be doing the commentary
That's
for
awesome. Yeah,
that
if
should be
anybody in the chat has a good vintage deck, tweet at me because my vintage skills I haven't played in about a year. So.
I just won with Snapcaster Mages in the Vintage Super League.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Boy,
I played a Grixis deck with Cabal Therapies and
I
Snapcaster.
love Cabal there. Ooh, this sounds good. If you
Oh
can send me
yeah,
the list, or if the
yeah.
list is out there somewhere, let me know.
Posted to the website. Not that hard to find. But yeah, it's
Okay.
basically imagine a Delver list, but instead of Delvers, you're playing Cabal Therapy.
Okay. That seems good.
And fun.
Yeah.
But we're playing Standard today. Let
Yeah,
us
I'm
get down to
excited.
the main event. The last match of week one in this Standard Super League season. Kenji Egashira on the top of your screen. Paul Cheon on the bottom. We'll get the picture switched. Kenji has brought basically the Kibler Green-White Megamorph deck to the table. Paul has brought an Esper Dragons deck that I know he had a lot of success with before Origins came out.
Okay, so who's your pick for this? Is it going to be Paul, or do you think it's going to be Kenji?
I honestly don't know. I mean, Kibler's really good at building green-white decks that actually have good game against control.
Yep. And as you can see, Boonsader is like one of the best cards against control. Also, Collective Company, and it looks like Kenji has both of them in his hand. Although he did mulligan, is that true or no? Or is one card just hiding from us?
Yeah, there's one card hiding in the hand
Ooh,
cam sheet,
okay.
so you can see
The
them
card
all.
that's hiding is a Valor stance.
Am I
So, do
allowed
you
to pick
like?
Kenji now that I see he's got a turn one Elvish Mystic?
Well, yeah, he's got the Mystic, but he's lacking another land. If he draws a land, he could go into Nissa, and then he can really get the ball rolling.
Right.
Otherwise, I think, I mean, his hand is still fine if he misses like one time, but if he misses for more than once, I think he might be in trouble.
He's on the draw.
Also,
So, I mean, that's a
oh,
clear keeper on the draw, I would think.
well,
What am
it's
I? I'm
kind of
asking you about mulligan decisions? What am I doing?
yeah. I mean, I mean, I'm not going to mulligan, but it's actually dangerous that he's on the draw because Paul could have went turn one Thoughtseize, like given if he had other. Well, is that actually a swamp in his hand
Yeah.
right there? Okay, so he could have went Terminal Thoughtseize. So let's see what's going to happen now.
Well, I think he preferred to get the comes into play tap part over with since he didn't have a turn 2 play. Because this sets up
Yeah,
he can play Temple of Enlightenment and he can have Dissolve up on turn 3.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Given the way Paul's hand played out, so
Kenji with the message to all of us. YOLO
so
keep.
so if you're Paul, what do you want to take here, Randy?
Wow.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like literally, pretty much any card besides the Valor stance, I think is a fine card to for
I
Cheon to
want to
take.
take land off the top of his deck is what I want to take.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I
That's like
honestly
my
might take Collected Company here.
mm, maybe. I think the top choices are Elvish Mystic, Nissa, Boonsader. He doesn't have any white mana, so he can't play Fleecemane Lion. Valor stance does pretty much nothing, and Collect the Company is still like I don't know. It is tough because if he draws one land, then he has Collect the Company because Nissa will get him the other land.
Yeah, that's my point. And that's what Elvish
Yeah,
Mystic is tempting because it's the only thing he can do without drawing a land. But I mean, if he draws a land, he's going to get to that Collected Company, and it's going to be awkward to try to leave up Dissolve mana.
yeah. Let's see what the chat says. I like when the chat like types crazy. They're like, oh, like the Mystic, 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 and then you see like one guy and he's like Valor stance. And you're like you can't tell if that guy's trolling or not. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a tough decision
It
for.
is. He goes
And he took
Mystic.
Mystic. Okay.
Totally defensible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Paul's a great player, so I can see whatever he chooses.
Not a land.
So it looks like his taking the Mystic paid off for at least a turn. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
probably.
now, yeah, I mean, now Paul's going to be in a great spot where he's going to go, dissolve or foul tongue. I mean, he might just foul tongue here, but I think it's better to hold up dissolve just in case he drew a planes, which he did actually with the Windswept Heath. Um, but Kenji's probably just going to pass and hold up for Boonsader, right?
Yeah, he can count Dissolve mana.
Yeah. So this is definitely a close matchup. I know Kibler went 9-1 with his green white deck at the Pro Tour, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So he must have played against some control decks, and he probably did reasonably well against it.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a ton of Esper Dragons. The control decks
Yeah,
tended to be Sultai.
yeah, that's definitely true. I started off the Pro Tour 5-0, and all around me was either blue red Thopters or like mono red burn, and I always built my decks to like be control. So I was like,
Yeah.
man, this is gonna be bad for me.
Yeah, so Paul goes for the against that foul tongue indication because A, he wants to kill Elvish Mystic, and also B, he does not want to just leave his mana unspent. This does give Kenji a window, though, where he can stick a Boon Satyr around Dissolve.
Oh wow! But Kenji decides to keep the Mystic.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, definitely. But it paid off for Kenji because now Kenji gets to pass the turn with Collective Company. Paul's probably gonna have to dissolve it, and then Kenji's gonna be free to untap and play Nissa or do whatever he wants.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think both players so far took a couple of risks, and all their risks paid off so far. So it's definitely a fun match, or at least a fun game.
It's not like Paul's got any source of card advantage here. He's just kind of one for oneing. Kenji's going to bleed him out of threats now that he's got mana.
Yeah, I think at this point right now, if there was like the meter of percentage, I think Kenji's probably about 70% to win this game.
You have it at 70. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I honestly do.
Somewhere in the 60-40 range, one way or the other. I wasn't even sure which way.
Oh, okay. Let's see what happens with this. Looks like the Dissolve's going to come up here.
Snap Dissolve. Yeah. You have no choice.
Yeah.
You have to Dissolve.
But
now
we're talking. Yeah, we're talking about risk. I could see Paul taking a risk and be like, okay, resolve. Hope you just miss.
Ooh, Den Protector gets down. Or
Yeah.
Nissa goes for Nissa.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think it's reasonable for Kenji just to play out the Fleecemane line and just not worry about any type of wrath effect because I think he has to try to pressure. Yeah, okay, that's definitely a good play. I think.
Cheon has 2 copies of Languish as his only sweepers in the main deck.
And no Crux of Fate?
0 copies of Crux of Fate.
Wow, okay.
He can sideboard in a couple of Drowns and 1 copy of Crux of Fate, but that's it for sweepers.
Okay. So now Paul has 6 lands, so he's able to have Valtuck and Dissolve. But basically, I think for Paul, it's either Ugin or bust right here. Like, he has to survive to get to a point where Ugin's going to be good. Otherwise, I don't think he could really win this game.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting because Kenji has two morph creatures in his hand, and both those morph creatures are actually pretty good against Ugin.
Fleece Mane and Nissa hit for 5 too. That's gonna add up pretty quick.
Kenji didn't want to just ultimate the lion there, monstrous, or you think that's too risky or just not good
I don't
enough?
want to do that against untapped mana.
No, okay, that's fair.
Too
Yeah, I
many
mean we get
like
this.
Bile Blights and Downfalls. There's too many rules
Yeah,
I can have this
yep.
versus.
But I mean, him playing a spell like walks into counterspell, so it's both ways is kind of tough.
I like this way better though. I mean, you're just
Yeah.
trading card in hand for card in hand. You're still hitting for 3. I
Okay.
mean, play a couple turns where Kenji just plays a card from Paul to counter. Who's going to win?
Yeah, that's true.
Paul's the one who's required to kind of clean up his board.
Yeah, and Paul's on 11, so he's not really too high on life right here.
Is Paul's 11? I count Paul's life total as 7 right here, or at least the important number. 7 lands in play. He is
Okay.
1 away from Ugin.
Yeah. Well, Paul's gonna take more damage this turn. So he's going to 10, 8, so he'll be at 4
And
after
now
this
Kenji
attack.
does go for the monstrous.
Yeah, I guess Paul has to foul tongue maybe to like. Yeah, I think Paul probably has to foul tongue.
Does he?
Yeah, just to like save a point of damage, which could buy him a turn if he does draw a removal spell for
Well,
the
it
Nissa.
doesn't buy him a turn though, and he might draw a dragon. Like he's going to take 4, 5, 6. He's taking either 6 or 7. If he takes 6, he's still facing down a board with 6 power on it, or with 5 power on it. No, 6 power.
Yeah, yeah, but then he could maybe draw like an ultimate price or some type of removal hero's downfall for the Nissa.
But he can
And
still
then
cast both. Like he'll have no trouble casting both removal spells next turn if he top decks a removal spell.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't think this
Well,
point of damage matters, and you might draw
no,
a dragon to get
no.
4 life by waiting. So I
I
like
think
Paul's line of waiting.
okay. Well, he
so,
yeah, he draws the land for Ugin, which is pretty good.
Yep.
So he does minus on the Ugin. So now Kenji just needs to squeak in 4 points of damage,
Yeah.
which might be tough.
Ugin's very, very good.
Yeah.
He's leaving Ugin there as a 3 damage target, figuring, I guess, he's got Valorous Stance and Dramica's Command.
The Fleeceman Lion, you mean?
Yeah, the Fleeceman line, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, but I think Paul's not going to fall for it. I'm pretty sure Paul's just going to -2.
That's the question, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost certain because ticking up Ugin like seems good, but
Yeah, he does -2.
okay, yeah, he does. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, knowing Paul, Paul's not going to make a mistake like that. Ooh, Brimaz. Wow.
4
Brimaz.
toughness and 3 converted mana cost.
Yeah, but too bad Paul still has the foul tongue in hand.
That's a good point.
So what happens maybe if Kenji just plays the morph here, holds up Dramoka's Command and Valor Stand? That's probably the best play. Because what can Paul really do? Paul could tick up Ugin to try to kill the morph, but then he could either Valor Stance or and then he could just Valor Stance it. So but he does nothing?
Wow, he does nothing.
Wow, okay. So he doesn't anticipates on the stack somewhere.
Yeah.
So what's Paul looking for? Like anything really? Like a counterspell or a dragon?
We will pause them. We will be right back.
So what do you think?
Dragon, I would think. I think Paul's best spells.
Yeah, I guess a dragon. I mean, I think Paul's in a pretty good spot. I really think Kenji could have played the morph that turn, because if he does play morph, I mean, it either draws out Paul's foul tongue invocation, or Paul tries to tick up Ugin, and then he could Valor Stance it, and then he could untap, like maybe play Brimaz. I don't know, but him doing nothing seems like, what's his plan? Is his plan just to try to build up and like draw a collective company and the turn do something? I'm not really too sure. So it's tough.
Yeah, I like the Valorous Stance line.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. And I'm really impressed with some of the decks that people brought to the table. Particularly Kaneo's deck was probably like the most fun.
Yes.
Okay.
So what just happened? What did we miss? Did we miss anything?
It looks like something happened with something, but not.
Oh, the Brimaz got Thoughtseize. That's what happened.
Burma's got Thoughtseize, so maybe he anticipated into
I think he
Thoughtseize.
anticipated for Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, so it looks like Ugin is still on 4. And Paul has his foul tongue invocation. Now, right now, even though at one point Kenji was about 70% the win, I think it's reversed. I think Paul's probably 70% the win here. Although Kenji definitely has some fighting, especially with that Den Protector draw. Probably one of his best draws right here because he could get back Collective Company, which is just going to be great.
Yep.
But it's gonna be tricky because Paul's probably going to try to shoot it with Ugin first, see what Kenji does. If Kenji tries to save it, now Paul could kill with a downfall or a foul tongue.
Oh
Yeah, he can't get back the Collective Company.
no! Oh, so, instead of flipping it, Kenji goes for the save.
Yeah, really, really tough calls here. So someone in the chat asked if you could zero it. No, you can't zero it because it has to have a color. It can't be a colorless creature.
Ugin cannot kill colorless creatures.
Yeah. So that's why Ugin's good with. Yeah, you could -0, just wouldn't do anything. I also saw a pretty cool play. Yeah.
Paul just has to decide which removal spell he wants to use.
Yeah, I think probably Foul Tongue Invocation. Actually, it's tough because Paul might be worried about like an end turn Boonsader. So maybe Paul wants to get to a position where he has a dragon in his hand or in play and gain 4 life. But it looks like he's going for the Foul Tongue Invocation.
Down goes Den Protector. All right, now the Megamorph part of Kenji's list is starting to kick in. Deathless Raptor. He's still got the Hidden Dragon Slayer that he's had for a while. Hasn't really had a chance to play.
Okay, so he decides to play it face up. Do you like that better than playing it face down? Maybe bluff like a Den Protector or just have different angles of attack?
I think he wants to put a +1/+1 counter on it with Dramaka's command. Get it to 4. That's why you play it face up.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely fair.
But again, Paul has the removal spell. So each of the last 2 turns, Kenji's played a creature with a trick to defend it from Ugin, and then Paul's had a removal spell to kill it.
Oh my god, wow. Dragon Lord Ojitai off the top.
Not bad. And Brimaz has been built up enough loyalty now that he can minus to kill the Brimaz.
Yeah. Definitely looking really good for Paul with that Dragon. I mean, Ojitai is probably like one of the most powerful creatures, not only in Standard, just like ever printed. It's just so good. Like when it hits play, it's just so good.
And more removal spells. Yeah, Ojitai now. Kenji just could not get to this last 4 points. Basically came down to Paul needed the top deck. He got to 7 lands. But he was playing for Ugin. You know, at 6 lands, he was basically out of gas. He needed to draw lands, you know, maybe 2 of the next 3, but he drew land. And there you go. Ugin is able to stabilize for Paul Cheon. Ugin hangs a game 1 W on the board for Paul Cheon.
Yep. So Cheon's up a game. He's definitely feeling happy about that, especially where it got to a point where it was pretty dicey, where we thought Cheon was probably going to lose. But if you take a look at his deck list, he's got a couple of nice sideboard cards he's going to bring in. I think he's definitely going to bring in the Ultimate Price. He's probably going to bring in the Crux of Fate, just some more creature removal.
Yeah.
Probably the 2 Farika's Cures, because Farika Cure is like a great answer against Boonsader. Because Boonsader is like a great threat against control decks, but now with Farika's Cure, you know, kill it for 2 mana plus gain 2 life is pretty nice.
Certainly has all the removal he could want.
Yeah.
What does Kenji have in his sideboard? Has he got any plan for the control matchup?
Let's take a look. So he's got 2 Tragic Arrogance, not going to be that great against Paul. Not going to bring that in. Unravel the Aether, probably not. Valor Stance, again, probably not. He has like almost nothing, right?
Yeah, not much. I mean, his main deck is not bad. It's not like he has a bunch of bad cards.
Yeah, but it would be nice if he just had some cards in his sideboard that were dedicated to try to be like a control type strategy. Maybe even just like him going a little bit bigger and something like Elspeth, because Elspeth is actually pretty good against a dragon deck. They could kill the dragon and plus just have the planeswalkers just always good against control. So I like that. Dude, the chat's so funny sometimes. A couple of people are suggesting Asher and Cleric just to go for the beatdown. So yeah, and to answer the question about the Ugin, you could -0. I was a little, but it wouldn't kill Thopters. It would only kill like Goblin tokens if you did -0. So nothing. Yeah, it's gotta have a color for Ugin to really do his work. Okay, so Kenji's going to be on the play this game. Last game, Paul was on the play, and Kenji was able to keep a one-land hand with an Elvish Mystic. His hand this game is strong, but it's slow, right?
Yes.
I mean, he technically has a 2-drop. He's got 3 3-drops. But, like, that 2-drop is one of his only answers to Dragonlord Ojutai. So it's like, do you want to play it out or do you want to hold it? Oh, well, he drew a second one, so that answers the question pretty easily. I mean, regardless, I think he has to play it out, right, Randy? Like, just to try to put some pressure on him?
Yeah, he's fine. It's Goblin Piker, whatever. Yeah. License doesn't really matter in this matchup, but, I mean, a 2-power beater on turn 2 is... I mean, you do what you got to do. I would just face up it there for sure.
So it looks like Paul brought in Jace from the sideboard and Crux of Fate. So we see 2 of his sideboard cards already in action. That's like the theory that on Magic Online, whatever your sideboard cards are, you draw them. Did you ever hear that theory or no? Or is it just not a real thing?
I'm pretty sure you just remember it when it happens.
Okay.
Is he going to block? No, he's not going to block. I do think it's interesting how Jace has kind of settled into this spot where he starts in the sideboard and he comes in after they take out their creature removal spells for a lot of control decks.
Yep.
The Jace decks at the Pro Tour, a lot of people thought Jace was one of the defining cards coming to the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Just there's all these red decks with all these Searing Bloods running around, and suddenly Jace being in the control decks meant Searing Blood was a good main deck card. It was like Red got a new card rotated into the format.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Like,
it's hiding in the sideboard waiting for game 2, and you don't see as many red decks around anymore because their Searing Bloods aren't just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I play Jace in the sideboard, but Jace is just an awesome card.
Agreed.
So, yeah, it looks bad for Kenji because he really needed to hit that 3rd land drop. That was a big, last turn. Because if he was able to hit his 3rd land drop, he could have played Nissa or played Brimaz and either went aggressive or started building up his mana for a Collective Company. And it looks like this Bile Blight's going to be pretty good here, right?
Oh, jeez. Yes. Paul's got a Bile Blight to kill 2 Hidden Dragon Slayers. He's also got a Crux of Fate for whatever comes out next.
Yeah.
He's got lands. Kenji doesn't.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta get the door. 1 second.
No worries. Kenji kept 1 land game 1, failed to get there. Keeps 2 lands in game 2, and fails to get there. All right. Now turn 4. Is this too late?
I was gonna say the other option is that Paul could have just left open Slumguard Scorn and not really cared about the 2/2 ones.
I don't know. I think with Crux of Fate in hand, you don't really need your counterspell now. Like, let Kenji dump his hand onto the board.
And just save the counterspell for like Collective Company?
Yeah. He can't Collective Company if he starts the turn with 2 mana.
Yeah, that's true.
And even if he does Collective Company, that's again another card that you can sweep away with Crux. I mean, undo, right?
So he's going to have 4 cards in the yard. So Jace is probably going to flip next turn.
Sounds reasonable.
All right, so Nissa gets in. So he'll loot. Let's see what he's going to discard here. He could probably discard the 6 mana dragon. He probably doesn't need it, right?
He has everything. I wouldn't discard the land. I want the land.
Yeah, you definitely need the land. You definitely want the counterspell. You want Crux of Fate.
Jace, I guess? Oh, that's a Silumgar Scorn. What am I talking about? Yeah, I discard a dragon.
Yeah, it looks like he might go for the Hero's Downfall. I mean, Hero's Downfall is an option as well, but I like having like an instant speed kill spell because he doesn't have one right now.
Oh, dig through time, just in case we needed more. So now Jace is going to flip. There's dragons, there's sweepers, there's card drawing, and there's countermatch.
Yeah. So I mean, for Kenji to win this game, he's gonna have to get really lucky with the collective company. He's gonna have to hit like the two best cards he could possibly hit, which I'm not even sure what they are.
Which are the cards that don't die to Crux of Fate?
So it's Boon Satyr and yeah, Warden of the First Tree. See, now Kenji's drawing lands, which he doesn't really want.
Right.
I mean, his fifth land is pretty good here because he could bestow Boon Satyr. So he swings in with everything.
Sure. Jace gets a free block here because he can block and then flip.
Yeah, that's like so good. I mean, Jace is like, it's just so good. It's a 2-mana planeswalker and it does so much. I think
The question is, do you risk Ojutai in combat?
I think Paul doesn't have to risk Ojutai in combat. I think it's just like
bestowing a Boon Satyr is the thing he's worried about. If he blocks, Kenji has the ability to bestow Boon Satyr at instant speed onto whatever creature Ojutai is fighting, and then kill Ojutai. Paul's on 15.
He's like so high in life that he doesn't even really need to. I mean, he could go down to like 6 or 7 or even like 5 against.
Went down to 4 last game.
Yeah, he went to the 4. I mean, 4 is a little dangerous because of Boon Satyr and Collective Company, but for the most part, he's not playing against a deck that plays like Stoke the Flames or a lot of burn spells.
Right.
Kenji's playing no burn spells.
All right, Jace's Planeswalker Spark about to ignite. Lock your Boon Satyr. Draw a card. Kenji's just thinking about whether he wants to bestow Boon Satyr anyway for damage. Maybe.
I mean, what else can he do? He just play Brimaz? Like Brimaz and like maybe pump the Warden or something?
Yeah, I mean, he's just taking this opportunity to think about how he wants to play the next couple of turns. I think it's reasonable for him to just assume Paul does not have a sweeper. Like, he can't beat Crux of Fate. So it's totally reasonable. If you can't beat a Crux of Fate, then just assume your opponent doesn't have Crux of Fate and play to beat the hand that doesn't have a sweeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lots of times people want to play around so much stuff, and then they end up losing the game because they played around all this stuff. So it often happens in limited too, especially when you know the person's deck. Like if it's like a top 8 of a Grand Prix or top 8 of a PTQ, and you share the deck list. Like, oh, I have to play around this like one combat trick, and you keep taking damage. So most of the time, just go for it. That's my best advice, right, Randy? Just go for it. Whatever it is, go for it.
There are plenty of times when it's correct. Yeah, people don't go for it often enough. I agree with you. All right, decides for a Warden pump.
Okay, and it looks like he's gonna just run out Brimaz.
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be really bad though for Kenji right here because of the Crux of Fate.
Yes.
It's just gonna be a 4 for like, I mean technically a 4 for 1, although Nissa did get some value.
Yeah. Kaboom. Ojutai. No Ojutai tax. Just to rub it in.
Yeah. I mean, Kenji probably has like, I don't even know, like one draw step. I don't even know what it could be really.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul has 3 counter spells in his hand, plus a Planeswalker in play,
and a dig through time,
and a Dragonlord Ojutai, and 6 lands, and still 10 life.
And the good news for Kenji is that this is going to be over soon.
Yep. And these guys are the 2 guys that talk the most trash, right? Especially to each other. Yeah, so it's going to sting probably for a while for Kenji. Kenji's going to have to definitely redeem himself because Paul's going to be on his case probably for the entire season. And this is only week 1, so.
I mean, the matchup doesn't seem quite this lopsided. It feels like Kenji's deck kind of had that one of. Yeah, the one of Crux of Fate. Look, you were right to just ignore it, Kenji. I agreed with your line, but sometimes they do have it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kenji played bad at all.
Right. He failed to draw land.
Yeah.
Both games.
Yeah.
And Paul did draw the land he needed in game 1.
Yep. Yeah, game 1 was a bit closer, I would say, because it really came down to that one turn where he needed it for Ugin.
Right.
This game is just kind of just looking at Kenji's hand and looking at Paul's hand. You knew Kenji would be in like a rough spot.
Yeah. Genji gets this matchup again in Marshall's hands. Marshall's also on Esper Dragons, so we'll
Okay.
find out if the matchup is this lopsided when Kenji plays Marshall.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's a good chance Gabby could just win her pod here.
I agree with you.
I mean, she's playing goblins. It doesn't
It's
look like, Paul's gonna have a great matchup against her, especially, you're telling me he only has two Languish, right, in the main deck?
right.
So it's not like he's like, flush with a lot of removal spells or like sweepers in general. Plus, the Obelisk of Urn is just a really good card against control if you're not playing Sultai Charm,
Yeah,
which,
no, I hear you.
only some people do.
Nissa gets to flip here, hypothetically. Kenji's thinking to himself. But
Yeah.
no,
No,
there's
I
more
mean,
counter spells where that one came from.
yeah. I mean, Kenji's on 7 life, so it's just two attacks.
You don't get hit by Ojutai that many times and then have your Nissa resolve. That's not how the world works.
Yeah. I think Kenji might be sending another message here.
I think that one's the ball.
I would like to see Kenji just have different T-shirts. Every time he has a message, he just takes off one of his T-shirts, and underneath that T-shirt is like a message. Like Moto crashes, it's like blame word. It's just like Cheon top decks, nice top decks, stuff like that. Would be pretty good.
All right, well, the battle for Cheon supremacy goes to Paul Cheon. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
he gets to move up the Cheon power rankings at least a little bit.
yeah.
Let's see.
So we had 6 winners this week and 6 second-place finishers. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah, we can put the schedule up and kind of recap where we're at right now.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
We have
Well,
6 matches in.
yeah.
So in the streamers group where these guys are, Paul's
Okay.
got to win and Gabby's got to win. So
Yep.
Paul and Gabby sitting on 1 loss now. What you got to do to make the playoffs, top 2 from each group make the playoffs. So, yeah, that is a 6-person playoff. The specific way it's going to work is that the best 2 group winners will get buys into the playoffs. And we can put the tiebreakers up if people want to
The
make
tiebreakers are awesome. Did you come up with the tiebreakers yourself, Randy?
I did. You like them?
I do, yeah. And the interesting thing is that, like, I'm not sure if it was like the fourth or the fifth one, or maybe it's the third one. It's the lifetime pro points.
Yep.
Okay, so it's the fifth one. And I think in the streamers pod, it goes to Cheon. Cheon's going to have the most pro points. For the pod of death, I think it goes to Paul Rietzel.
Probably.
Is that correct?
Probably.
Yeah, and for my pod,
is it you?
I think it goes to Josh Utterlayden. I think Josh has more pro points than me, lifetime. Even though I've been playing longer than Josh, Josh is just like crushes like all the pro tours. So I think it's yeah.
Now, to be fair, I took a lot of these tiebreakers. I took a lot of inspiration from the way Star City is doing their end of the year tournament now.
Okay.
So Star City had this, they did groups of 4, which I've always been a big fan of. I love doing. I do groups of 4 in my Gauntlet of Greatness stream as well. And so I thought that they were looking at match wins, game losses. I thought they did a pretty good job of sort of setting those in place. So I took a lot of inspiration from what they were doing their end of the year tournament, and then you got to have something that can't tie at the end of the day. Something is got to break the tie, and yeah, lifetime pro points may not be the most fair thing, but it's a thing.
Can you put the sixth one that you have? Because that one I thought was the most awesome one.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to the schedule.
Okay.
We can look at where we are. So Paul and Gabby have the wins in the streamer group. Over in your group, it's you and Josh.
Yeah.
So Andrew and Tom have got some work to do at this point. And Paul Rietzel, that red-white prowess deck looked super sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had it listed as heroic, but I agree with you. I think it is just a prowess deck.
Yeah, I'm going to start calling it a prowess deck. I kind of looked at the list last night and assigned names to them, but that is a prowess deck.
Yeah, and I think it's really, a neat design because coming into the Pro Tour and once Magic Origins was released, I think Abbott was on a lot of people's radar for like red decks to kind of shine a bit more because it's kind of like a Snapcaster Mage. It's a cross between Seeker of the Way and Snapcaster Mage built in one card.
Yeah.
So just
the
really
matchups
good.
Next week, by the way, Paul gets to play Sam. Is how it's going to work out. So
it's Abs and Aggro, right? Sam's on Abs and Aggro.
Yeah, and Sam was saying he figured Paul is just faster. Sam had to mulligan himself into oblivion this week, so we'll find out. Is he going to be in an 0-2 hole, or maybe Paul's deck isn't actually as ridiculous as it looks today. That, of course, means Brad and Owen will play. In your
Yep.
group, it works out randomly to be